Good evening, traders. Welcome to the week ahead. My name is Adam Harris. I am a chief market analyst. Let's have a look at major news coming out this week. So Monday, there will be a bit of US news at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. This will be manufacturing figures. We've got a little bit coming out with the Australian dollar early morning on Tuesday. So I'm reading this out from the UK, so it'll be UK Times. And this will be the Royal Bank of Australia rate statement. So we'll see if there's any changes there. The next one, which almost always causes extreme spikes, will be the Royal Bank of New Zealand's rate statement. I'm expecting effectively some volatility around that, even if there is a change or no change. And then if we move across to Wednesday, where we get the non-farm, the ADP figures that come out of the US, there will be some volatility around that. Could be a medium amount, could be a large amount, but be prepared for that. We've also got on the Thursday, although there's unemployment claims, the question is just how bad is it? Have they gone up? Have they gone down? And then finally, the big finisher on Friday, which is our usual monthly biggest move that we get, which is the non-farm figures, unemployment and employment figures coming out of the US, the biggest economy in the world. And so the question is, what are they going to be? So just the problem with this is very tricky for traders, because there's the forecast and the actual, and is the forecast better than the previous? Is it worse than the previous? Is it better or less than the forecast? What's going to happen here? So we need to be able to, it's impossible to trade around this, and I expect that market will toss around for a while. I have seen it swing several different directions before, settling in around about 3:30 p.m. As it then usually pushes out. Most Fridays will then push on until the close of the day. So that's really the biggest news coming out this week. Be prepared for that in the run up to it, and just keep that in mind. No real increase in volatility here, so the markets are coping just fine. Nice little bearish rejection candle there, overall right down near the lows. So not necessarily super exciting, but also at the same time, the market is not losing its mind. That's a really good thing. So just pointing out here on the dollar index, we've got a potential level here as a double bottom. We'll see if that's going to push upwards from here. Otherwise, my expectation is for this to continue to trend lower. I'm just noticing, though, that on the monthly, it is sitting on that 20-period moving average, and therefore we could see it ultimately start to move higher. So just a little bit of I'll be watching around this period. Will we move back down towards these lows here? We should. The trend is a downtrend currently, and therefore I would expect it to continue to the downside. But we're also in an area where we could potentially find support. So just expecting a little bit of jostling around there. Again, moving across and having a look at the euro against the US dollar, you can see we've effectively double topped here. We haven't got any bearish divergence, but we have got a bit of a rejection. So we could see price coming down the early part of the week, and then potentially finding some support around about the 1073 area, and then possibly taking another run back up at that level. Overall, the momentum seems bullish, but this is definitely going to have a bit of a reaction from that level. Sterling as well, right up, overextended to the upside a little bit, but also bumping its head up against that 1.24 level. I think it's fair to say we can bring it back down here. 1.24 level, therefore I would also expect us to take a little bit of a retracement and then take another run to the upside. Monday will be one of those interesting days. Will it just push on Monday, or will it use Monday to have that minor retracement on both the euro and the pound and then push on from there? So looking at the Australian dollar against the US dollar, it's really battling with this level, but this momentum is still bullish. It's still trending higher regardless of the fact that price is unable to break through this area. Usually in situations like this, price will ultimately break through that area. So that's interesting to me, because if that is the case, and the Australian dollar has been relatively weak lately, that implies that we will get a weaker US dollar, which will help it break through, if that's going to be the case. Looking here at the Kiwi dollar against the US dollar, you can see same thing again. We've got that bullish momentum. It's battling a little bit with some local resistance here on the daily. But the implication is that it's sitting below this 50-period moving average as well, but it's likely to break through that, and I'd like to see if we're going to get that. Moving on, dollar yen as well has had a nice little bit of boost on the tail end of last week. We can see here we've got a potential for a higher low here. We've got a swing low on the weekly. The question is it going to continue to push up from here? But absolutely, if you're wondering if the markets have been choppy recently, they really do. They really have been. They really don't seem to know quite what it is that they want. Dollar Swissy generally also pushing down towards this level of support. Lot of rejections off those. You've got lots of wicks and shadows, tails, whichever you want to call them, pushing off that level, but we continue to close lower. This time we've actually closed a little bit lower. The implication also being that it's just going to continue to edge closer to that. The monthly looking interesting to me with those various different wicks, and this is actually March, so we've got 3 little wicks there. That also potentially means there's some nice support in that area. So giving very mixed signals. There, dollar CAD on the other hand, beautiful, really nice move to the downside. What I'd be looking for this week is any kind of a retracement back up into, say, 1.36, back up into these previous lows, and then a continuation to the downside. That's a very nice bearish monthly candle, and the implication is that it's going to continue to head lower. But I would certainly be looking for any pullbacks this week to the upside find some resistance in that area up here, and then looking for a continuation to the downside there. Okay, next up, let's go through these calculated instruments. So first of all, let us have a look at the Canadian index. Overall, just to get a sense of what's happening there, you can see it's bumping its head up against resistance, and also big exhaustion on the monthly. So it implies, yes, there's some weakness with that. If we look at the Australian dollar here, we've you know, we're in a downtrend on that weekly. On the monthly, we're producing lower highs, lower lows. Some buyers coming in now, so that looks interesting to me. But I don't expect a real shift in trend. I just think that we're going to see potentially some pushing up a little bit higher. But overall, it is more bearish than bullish. Let's go back up to the top. Let's look at euro dollar. What's going on with euro dollar? So euro dollar on the weekly here, generally looking nice and bullish. Also battling with some resistance up at the top. And a bit of an indecision candle over there on the monthly. So yes, this area of resistance looking quite significant. Let's look at sterling. Very, very similar. Sterling is in a bull channel and battling with resistance as well. So overall, where am I going with this? None of them really seem to have a very clear momentum. And that includes the US dollar. So currencies right now are going to be doing much more shorter term moves, by the way. That's really, I guess, where I'm going with all of this. And we can have a look at the Japanese yen index. Here you can see a higher low, very nice bullish candle last week. Overall, the general trend flowing to the upside. So yeah, I think it's fair to say there's a possibility here that Japanese yen is potentially going to continue to push up a little bit higher across the board. So it might be interesting to have a look at some of those yen pairs. Okay, so just having a look at currency pairs of interest, I did say that I would potentially look at that. I'm just wondering if EURUCAD's going to come into this level of resistance and potentially find support. So I'll be looking for bullish candles Monday or Tuesday to see if, you can see on the monthly it does struggle a bit with that 1.46 level, but if we can find some nice bullish price action now, there might be a good trend continuation. We're still in an uptrend and still looking for some possible continuation to the upside. GBP CAD has a similar type of structure. I am just noticing here that it is a strong level of resistance where it is, but overall looking to see if it can stay above these lows, possibly even come back down to this level, this previous low down here, potentially double bottom, and then looking for an opportunity to the upside. Then looking at Euro Aussie here, some very strong resistance in this area. It would make sense to me that this is going to fail at some point and possibly come back down towards these lows. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Pound Aussie as well, very similar, battling with a strong level of resistance in this area. And I'm looking for a bearish momentum candle that provides some intraday opportunities to the downside, but I'd really need a strong bearish daily candle to make the case for that. Moving on and looking at, say, Aussie Kiwi, I find Aussie Kiwi quite interesting. It's sitting on a level of support here. There's some bullish divergence trending away, but I'm wondering if this could be building up to a breakout to the downside. So there could be a possibility of a nice little level to the downside there. Let's run through some of the others as well. Aussie CAD looking nice and bearish. Any kind of pullbacks into this area this week, and this could be some nice continuations to the downside. So Aussie CAD could be offering some nice trending opportunities there as well. Aussie Yen as well. I like the fact that we've got a bit of a pullback into this area. This could be a potential trend continuation to the downside. We still have a downtrend, so that could be a possible trend continuation to the downside. And then we have the other ones that were of interest to me would be, there we go, last one, CAD Swissy, possible bullish breakout level here if it's looking quite nice and bullish, which it is, and if it's going to potentially break out to that, there could be a possible move up towards these highs here. So these are the ones that I quite like the look of. A lot of them are crossing either CAD pairs or Aussie pairs. Potentially that would be Pound Aussie or Euro CAD, Pound CAD, Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, that kind of thing as well. So there we go. Those are the currency pairs of the most interest to me. Moving on. So yep, Euro Swissy bumping away, rejecting that parity level once again, still battling with it. We still have higher lows, so the question is, will it come back down to these levels and find support there? Now let's move on to gold. So gold is forming a triangular pattern here. It's got lower highs, higher lows. It's going to have a breakout from this area. The question is it going to break out to the upside? Overall, the monthly candle looks really nice. We've had a strong level of resistance here at 1950. So far, for March, we broke out and closed outside of that. So generally speaking, that should be a relatively positive signal. Possibly what could happen here is price breaks down, tests support, and then continues, to the upside there. Look at silver. Silver is incredibly bullish. Look at that amazingly strong, very close near the close near the high. Looks good. I love the look of silver overall. However, it is definitely overextended to the upside. It is sitting in a level of, in an area, a zone of resistance over here. So what makes the most sense to me here this week is to this week to see a big correction of silver back down to 23, potentially as far as 22, and then see if it could find some support. So that could possibly be the entire week. We could find, if that is going to be the case, silver could actually just trend all the way down for 4 or 5 days, which means that the entire of next week is just a move to the downside. That is a possibility. Copper as well. Look at the recent wicks here. It's completely undecided, battling with resistance and buyers below. So it's got buyers here propping it up, sellers here keeping it down. It's looking good for a breakout to the upside, but I don't think I'm going to touch it until I see that breakout to the upside there. Natural gas. I was talking here about some bullish divergence coming in, that it did a move up, it broke this low, now it's moved down, it's starting to produce a bullish candle. Still some bullish divergence there. So I would expect this week it is going to attempt to push up a little bit higher here shorter term. It is trying to turn around, but it could be something that takes several more weeks, but it is definitely trying, and that's a nice bullish engulfing candle. So I want to see if it can move into this area, but also expect it to ping pong around until it actually is capable of shifting all the way around. West Texas crude, look how strong and bullish it is. It's broken right through this level of support. It's now sitting up above that. It's pulled into the moving averages on the weekly, and so this is an area where it's going to encounter some resistance, but it's leaning way more bullish than bearish this week. I certainly would like to see if it can manage to stay above these levels and then continue to the upside. So we could be seeing a shift in the medium term on crude oils to the upside. We need to start producing high lows, high highs. So this week, again, we're going to see a bit of a ping pong around up and down on crude oil. If that's going to be the case, it's going to become overextended. It's going to need to move down. And if it finds support and it can move back up, it's going to finish higher. That's the kind of swings we can expect this week. Brent crude as well, having pulled right back into this previous level over here. Can it get past that? You could see that on that weekly, it's a lot more crisp. Series of lower highs. It's very bullish, but that doesn't mean it could just completely run out of steam this week. So this week for me, crude, I need to see a breakthrough here and head up to the next highs. Before that starts to paint a picture that there is potentially a shift in the medium term. And so for me, medium term means over the potentially next few weeks, next few months. So when I say that. Wheat, I was talking about this divergence here. We had a bullish candle here. We did move a little bit higher last week. We tapped resistance here. Now, this is similar to what we saw with natural gas. It's trying to turn around. It was trying to do it here. It was trying to do it here. It's trying to do it here again. So this is looking very interesting. What I would very much like to see this week is a break above these highs here, break above, and then potentially a retest. Get it above that 50-period moving average. That would start to add more buyers, would start jumping in, and it would start to shift its momentum. So I'd need to see that going to be the case. It could possibly move down a little bit first, but I would say that this behavior so recently after this attempt to turn around means, and especially with that bullish divergence and that move higher, we've broken that trend. This is now in a ranging position, so it's going to ping pong around and hopefully break out to the upside and provide some buying opportunities there. Coffee was trying to hold some support here. I spoke about that bullish candle. We attempted to break higher and immediately hit some strong resistance in this area. What is going on here? Let's get that. Hit some strong resistance and then broke through. So this overall is just very, very messy. You can see we've got lower highs, downtrend on the monthly, pulled back up, very, very messy in principle. So right now it's not looking super bullish. You would have to get way back up above that, and it's just too messy. We have a downtrend on the daily. We have no real clear trend on the weekly because we've got a low here and then a high here, and then it sort of starts engulfing candle. So it's very messy at the moment. I would potentially just watch that one from the sidelines. Sugar, very nice. I was looking at this bearish breakout there and wondering if, that bearish divergence, and instead we just had this beautiful outbreak to this just breakout to the upside. Beautiful, looks really, really nice. I was wondering if we'd get that based off all of this, but it just broke straight through. So that's a good example here of how occasionally bearish divergence is usually very reliable. This is a rare situation where there was some of it. I need to go back and actually see what I said if I was convinced that it was absolutely a really bearish setup or if we had this bullish candle. But overall, I think that's something worth my time to go and review that. But that looks really nice and bullish. So good. A break and a retest, I beg your pardon. So I'd be looking for any kind of pullbacks here and looking for trend continuations to the upside. We still have a lower high. So this is interesting to me that although we have this, we still have a lower high. So often in situations like that, you would get a correction immediately within this week. We would get the market pulling back down below that level, and that would sort of justify it. But I look at that weekly candle looks amazing. The monthly candle looks amazing. To me, it now looks more bullish than anything else. So interesting. And then we have cotton, which has been so incredibly choppy. Remember, I was looking for a bit of a bullish breakout pattern there, then it broke out to the downside. Now it's pushing back up. Chaos, man, just crazy. And you can see here it's trying to get back up above that level. This is a great example of where the weekly or the monthly can bring clarity to the situation. This daily is so incredibly choppy. It must be very tricky to identify, to make sense of what's going on there. But then when you look at the monthly, it's just indecision. And in the weekly as well, you can see it's sort of range bound. What's supposed to happen after you get out of a range like this is you start to see some moves. It starts to actually move and decide what it's going to do. So I think for this week, there's no engaging in this yet. I want to see it either break out to the upside or actually form a trend. Right now, it's not doing anything. It can trend. It's just not doing that yet. Right, on to the global indices. So what happened this week? Very nice. It was a nice little breakout of that trend line. We had a downtrend, but the break of this line just means that the momentum is, if it was super, super weak, it would have not been able to break through that trend line. Look at the buyers propping it up here. Lots of that happening. And then it just a breakout to the upside. So there was I did some brief buy trades on this, day trading setups that were quite nice as it broke through. Not as it broke through, but breaking through was caught my eye. That looked really good. We still have a downtrend on the weekly, folks. However, I want to just point out something. That monthly candle is certainly not bearish. It's certainly more bullish than bearish. Looks good. Would have been better for it to close up near the highs. It didn't do that, so it's a weak bearish. What is wrong with me? It is a weak bullish candle. However, the cool thing is the price closed above the 50-period moving average. So I don't know if you recall this. I've said this in the past. Generally speaking, with the indices, when we're sitting above the 50-period moving average, we could be sort of considered to be bullish. So for now, we don't have an uptrend, but we are closed above the 50. So that's good. Let's see if we could do that. The next kind of trend line that we'd have to break, so that's broken now. The next kind of one that I want to keep an eye on would be something along the lines of kind of from this high to this high, because once we start to breach that, and that's probably going to be that 34,000 level, once we get above that 34,200 level, then we're starting to look more and more bullish. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly set that up to be just nice and very gentle, so it's just there as a general reminder. That's good. So looking this week as well, look at that S&P. Beautiful. It's range bound. It is going to battle in this area. I want to see it either burst through that or what's going to happen with that. That is a very nice. This is something I would have liked to have seen with the Dow. That is a beautiful bullish candle. Within the context of this, not necessarily doesn't mean we've broken free of this yet, but it's a great sign. I want to see if we can break through this week. So I'd like to see the markets attempt to test this. If they can break through, fantastic. Otherwise, they're going to bump their heads a little bit. It's got to move up. It is overextended, and so it could find itself kind of breaking through. But it is also, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, above the 50-period moving average here. So the markets are leaning bullish. Great. Okay, Nasdaq, naturally looking super bullish. And it's quite interesting. For a very long time, that Nasdaq was just climbing and climbing and climbing, even when then the S&P and the Dow weren't doing that. And then it took the biggest hit throughout 2022 and most of this year. It's kind of double bottom here. It's looking very nice and bullish. This is a bullish engulfing candle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm too nervous to say that this is it. I'm calling the bottom. I'm too nervous to say that because I do believe that there's still a possibility that we could be range bound. We might not get back up to old highs just yet. But that is a phenomenally good signal. Okay. Man, that is just such a great bullish signal. And so that is very, very nice. Okay, so for me, and a really clean break of this level, and then a nice bullish candle there. I'm very tired. It's been a long, long weekend, and I'm very tired, but I wanted to get this out tonight rather than do it tomorrow. So possibly that's where my bumbling is coming from. So that looks really good. So this week, any kind of pullbacks I'm looking, or continuations to the upside there, I'm looking for those. Okay, beautiful. What would be amazing would be to get a pullback this week, and then bullish candle and take off from there. But man, that looks good. Russell 2000, really nice double bottom there as well, pushing higher, breaking through this level of resistance. Also bullish in isolation. That monthly doesn't help. The monthly doesn't really say much. What could happen off this picture is you get price moves up to here, bumps its head, and then comes back down. So I don't think we're completely free of resistance levels yet on the previous four charts, but it's looking good. That's great. Yeah, very happy with that. Yeah, we've got that nice little bullish candle that's moved high. We've got an uptrend on the daily for the FTSE. Look at that monthly candle being pushed all the way back up and closing above 7,500. It's a good sign. All right, that's a good sign. Closing below that would have been a sign of weakness. Closing above that is a good sign. It's not a bad thing. DAX as well, back up at these highs on the daily, back up on the weekly highs, and that really nice bullish engulfing candle, 2 degree, looks good as well. So bullish, bullish, bullish. These are good things, ladies and gentlemen. The ASX, that's really nice. That weekly candle looks good. Bottom of the range, potential double bottom here. Again, looking really good. I'd look for probably more likely to get continuation first. So we could find possibly Monday's super bullish and it continues to push up. That is not a particularly bullish candle, but everything else looks good. All right, so we'll leave that as it is. Nikkei's back up at the top of the range. So again, I would say, sort of for the record, that I think once we escape out of this range, and if we escape out the top, that must surely be a good sign. Looking at that monthly, surely. You can see we'll have a battle up here around about that 29,700 level, 30,000 level, but it really is keen to get out, and will this week be the week for that? Interesting. Okay, Apple. Beautiful. Just overextended. Any pullbacks here would be trend continuations. Looks really good. To me, I think it's pretty much free now to go back up to 170. So that a bit of optimism. This is great, guys. Higher low here. Higher low. So this is Amazon. That looks really good. I love Amazon. I've got some options on those. So some sell puts on those. We'll see how those go. AT&T also higher low here. Back into its danger zone. This is its danger zone. But that looks really good. Man, this is, and look, it just closed right there at the top. It's not a guarantee of anything, but it's a probability of a continuation. That looks really good as well. You've got a higher low level here, potentially to break out. This is a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders type pattern. A shift in trend looks good. What did I mark here? So I marked that as a possible higher low. So that's good. It's nice. It's followed through on that. Is looking good, and that is a continuation. So it's going to bump its head against this 50-period moving average, but it should be able to get through to the other side. This is amazing. It's just it was a good week. I don't know if anything significant happened last week, guys. Did anything significant happen last week that might be buoying the optimistic or optimacy? What is wrong with me? Anything big happened last week, guys? Let me know in the comments below if there was anything you think might have picked up the mood of the markets. I mean, we had Finland is now part of NATO, so that's one good thing. We've got more and more of those kinds of things happening. Anything else significant? Let me know. Okay. Oh, I was sorry, Glencore. I just completely bypassed you. Sorry, buddy. Downtrend, uptrend here on the daily. You've got a clear high, low, high, high. You've got a potential high, low off here. It's trying to push higher. So yeah, let's see if we can get back up above that 50-period moving average, or if it's going to fail on that one. Tesco, guys, looking really nice. Look at that really nice bullish finish, strong bullish monthly. I mean, all of these I would expect some potential pullback during the week and a continuation, but the trend direction is pretty much to the upside here. American Express, that's a small little battle of resistance. I think it's likely to break through on that one. Remember, we were mapping this out as a head and shoulders. Very interesting. I'm going to leave this up for now because I don't think we're out of it just yet. I want to see if this head and shoulders, just if it happens, if it becomes anything. So I'm going to leave it up for now. But it does get cancelled out the second we start to come up and break past that high. Then clearly that's not the head and shoulders. It's not going to happen. Berkshire Hathaway. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, it's heading back up to test its resistance level up there. The weekly looked good. Bit of an indecision there on the monthly. Yeah, all right. That's its danger zone. Let's see what happens with that. Once you get through that, man, it's going to do very well. Because look at this. We did have, this was sort of March last year and it came back down. But it's overall coped very well. Coca-Cola, only interesting thing to me is this big burst and then the smaller candles as it runs out of steam. But like fireworks going up and then kind of stalling. That weekly candle looks really good. You've sort of got 3 marching soldiers. They look great. Bullish engulfing candle on the monthly. All of that is super, super bullish. But we do have, again, a danger zone for Coca-Cola here as it hits 63.50. We're going to see what happens. Any kind of pullbacks could have some good trend continuations. BP, really nice, guys. This trend's still intact. Bullish move, consolidation, pullback, inside candle, and then it's just broken the high of that. So that's trend continuation. That's bullish. But look at this. There's a level. There's possibly something of interest here. I'm going to mark this as a possible. Let's call that a danger zone. Of course, as soon as I change this, let's just go and see what happens with that. If that's going to mean anything. This area where it is, let's find out if that's going to be a problem for it. But yep, why not continue from there? ExxonMobil, so it broke this weekly trend, but its monthly trend could potentially be intact. That's interesting. I think I like where that level is, but I'm going to move it up here and connect them like that. I prefer where it was, but all right, this area almost appears to show a break and a retest of that level and possibly a continuation from here. So interesting. General Motors. All right, just range bound. The weekly sort of shows it range bound. Looks like it's going to push back up to the top of that. JP Morgan Chase also broke this trend. There's no clear trend on any of this at all. It's just going to have to, but that daily looks good. Let's see if it can break through here and get back up above 133. That would be a good sign. Adidas, woof, wow, look at that. Just beautiful, just clean. Literally, look at this. This is a great example. Buying from the second it opened until the second it closed. I mean, that is appetite, right? Appetite, just hunger for it. The next one, a little bar below, and then just closing up near the highs. Appetite. So what this would imply is that big money is starting to look for buying opportunities in the market now. It implies potentially that we could be at the bottom of this particular phase of the monthly charts. Very interesting. Meta even managing to gain some ground, closing higher. Same thing again, continuations. Morgan Stanley also bottoming out a little a low, but then very bullish. I want to see it break this previous high. Also broken that weekly low. So that means that as soon as it sort of breaks a low or breaks a trend on one time frame, I would normally just check the higher time frame here. And all that means is that it's that higher time frame that has a significant change occurring with it. Look at this one closing right up near the highs there for March. That's crazy for Nvidia. Nvidia's performing incredibly well. Also, Netflix, these are phenomenal, really good performances. PayPal, also looking good. Look at this. This is very nice and bullish. So that was a nice little bullish setup there. This is also bullish. That little gentle trend line coming down there, that bearish line in the sand, I think it's going to push up. It's going to break through this level and then break its way up. We'll see. And of course, the thing is that once it starts getting to a certain point, more buyers will be confident and they'll start getting in, and then it'll just start. You'll get bigger and bigger candles. You get something similar to this. PayPal itself, we'll see. Okay, Spotify breaking through its level of resistance. That's good. I must have marked that at some point. I do forget sometimes when I've done these things. That looks good as well. Okay, so this one's a tricky year one, but overall this feels as though you've got just within 5 candles here, you've got 3 green ones. So more green candles. If this is a downtrend, you've suddenly got a lot more green candles. If you include this one, suddenly you have 4 green candles within 7 candles. Okay, that's more bullish than bearish. Monthly doesn't look super bullish. This looks interesting to me. Possibly this is just the bottom of the range kind of thing as well, and it's going to bounce back up from there. So what I would need to see with Spider is to see that break up, especially breaking this low here would be a significant kind of, if it could get past that, then that momentum is definitely shifting to the upside. FedEx looking good. Man, look at this bullish engulfing candle and a continuation above that. This is really good. This is what I call sort of a pause and go, sort of a break, and then you get a indecision candle, and the next candle continues on, usually for about the same kind of distance. So that looks good. It is bumping its head into a little bit of an area here at 229, 230, but I've got faith. Tesla. So if those are going to do it, there's no way Tesla can't get pulled across or pulled up by that one. Look at that very interesting sort of hanging man sort of candle. It's engulfing, closed. It's a little bit bullish as well. It's coming back up to the inside of this neckline. I want to see if anything happens there. It's still in the danger zone, but it looks good. So again, I'm not going to really make any calls on Tesla until it gets out above this, sort of gets above, it's above 200 now, 250. Once it gets back above 250, that momentum is really going to shift, because we can see we've still got a series of lower highs on the monthly. We're still in a downtrend, ladies and gentlemen, on the monthly. So it's got to get back up over that. It's not even above the 50-period moving average yet. So it has to do all of that. But it looks good so far. Vanguard, beautiful. Broken through that trend line. Very nice. Nice little higher low on this one. Broke through that bullish candle over there. Looks nice and bullish there. They look good. Okay, bonds. 10-year T-notes also finding a little bit of bullishness here. That's good. Battling through that level. So interesting to me. I want to see, do we kind of break through this sort of line to the downside, or do we manage to get through it when we're still sitting on a line that it can't seem to move one way or the other? Eurobond also potentially finding some support here. Strong battle in this area. Look at that weekly. So you've got here that battle of resistance, bearish candle, and you've got the bottom. It's kind of range bound. And again, that monthly also starts to look very, very significant. And March was not able to break above that. So again, very cautious of this because it looks like it's ping-ponging around. It'll pick up momentum once it gets above this level if it can do that. Cryptos, and then we wrap up. Cryptos, well, likely to me, I mean, I'm hearing myself super excited, but likely to get picked up by tech stocks if that's going to be the case. But look at this, battling in this area, it's got bearish divergence. There could be a bit of a correction before it attempts to continue. So it doesn't look super strong, super bullish just yet. Ethereum, flat level here. So again, we've got this very flat level in this area. Boom. I want to see a break through that. That's a bit better. That looks pretty good. So there could be something this week that just breaks it through and goes straight up to 2,000. Let's look at Solana. I wanted to see if it would break up from there. No, it didn't. MACD's looking flat, and there's no clear trend. It's just it's basically going sideways here. Look at the monthly. That's just nothing happening. So Solana's not going to do anything until other stuff does stuff. So we've got an uptrend here on Cardano, sideways on the monthly, just doesn't look that sexy, and that weekly batting with that level. Binance. Obviously, we now know we've got, we know that there's some potential legal issues with some of these things in the States. I need to review those and then update that list if there's anything that's going to change with it. Cryptos are possibly, I'll just need to review this list and see what's going to happen with that. Here it's battling a little bit here on that daily. And we know Binance is, we're going to have to see what's going on with them in the news, and they're battling with that level of resistance. So my focus over the next week will be predominantly over Bitcoin and Ethereum to see what's going to happen there. The granddaddy and the grandpappy and the grandmammy of cryptos. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your support on this channel. I always appreciate it. Always ask questions if you want, and I will chat to you next week. What was I going to say? Yeah, if you have any questions, put them down. And I changed the format a little bit today, talk about currency pairs that caught my interest. And that's it. Thank you very much. I will speak to you in the next one. Thank you.